What's up, y'all? This is your boy Drew. It is the 2nd of July, 2016. How is everybody doing? But I also know that this is the 4th of July weekend. Some of y'all are going to take these next couple days off and spend time with loved ones. Some of y'all are going to take time to spend time with the person of significance in your life at this moment. And I also know there are a select few that have to toe the rope, that will be working, not because they have to, it's because it's part of their responsibility and they see the bigger picture. But then there are also a small percentage of those that think that being cunning, being able to use the gift of gab only buys them time and placement. And they're going to be where they shouldn't be. They are going to be where they have no right, have not earned the privilege to hold that moment of time. And unfortunately, they're going to see some things because of it. They're going to see their worth by way of pain because things are going to be revealed that is going to validate not only where you should be compared to where you are. Some of y'all are going to be rubbing on some bumpy roads because it's going to cause you to self-evaluate your self-worth because the price paid for this moment in time is not going to yield the result that you thought it was. But I know you're going to be all right in the end because I know that even in disappointment, wisdom comes. And I really believe, y'all, that this these 4 days. I know a lot of y'all taking 3-day weekends, but I know some of y'all started getting sick the middle of the week, so you can add that on and make a 5-day weekend out of this. It's going to have a lot of revelation, y'all. A lot of things that you may not have been aware of are going to be brought in front of you for review. A lot of things that you may not have been privileged to, you are going to be privileged. And a lot of things that you thought had a foundation, you're going to actually see how fragile that foundation is. Now, I'm the first one, I'm going to tell you, I don't wish bad on nobody, but I also know that to live on this earthly realm, there's a responsibility because, see, what's at stake is your free will. Because the bottom line boils down to choice. Nobody can make you do nothing you don't want to do. Nobody. So it's very important that at a minimum you honor yourself. You see your worth. You don't compromise it. We're talking about you, y'all. There will never be another you. You are priceless. I've been trying to echo this from day one. See, nobody gets a second. No one gets a prize for being an imitation. Nobody. You might get an honorable mention, but you'll never get the accolade that you justly deserve. So therefore, the dreams and the aspirations that are tied to your spirit are only delayed. They're not delayed to punish you. They're delayed to protect what is divinely meant for your life. But once again, we got to go back to that free will, y'all. We got to go back to that free will because, see, there are people walking on this planet that are willfully self mutilating themselves, self doing destructive things, sharing space and air that only reeks of death and destruction. And the real question we need to ask is why? I believe a lot of it is because some have a love affair with their pain. And that is the only living constant that they know. So to step out on faith or do something unlike before requires courage and fortitude, but most are too afraid, even when it comes to you, to yourself. The real question should be asked why you feel that you shouldn't. So we're living in times, y'all, that everything is not what it seems, and what you think it is nothing but a mirage, sugar-coated by words that mean nothing, just allegory, because people they don't want to tell the truth. They're too afraid to see truth for what it is because they know the reality that they built their identity on is false. I remember them when there was a day, I remember there was a time when someone made a mistake, they would admit it. But it seems like now pride and ego is at the forefront, and where the chips fall, they fall, and we condone. But we are still surprised when calamity comes from those actions, from those choices. Some of you may have seen on your timeline, I did a short video this morning. I did a video this morning. I was tired last night, y'all, and I fell asleep on my couch right here. I was out, and TV was, my TV's on, but you can't see it because it's above my fireplace. In the news, there was a story of another young woman who chose to kill her kids. And I felt a certain kind of way. I don't even know this woman. I have no relations to this woman. This happened in Tennessee, but the commonality for me was this is the fourth story with the same theme in 5 weeks. 5 weeks. That's not a good look. I'm a, I'm a firm believer that right now the devil think he winning because the things that should be embraced and protected, it is thrown to the side. And the things that we should reject, we pick up. We pick it up like it's a shield of honor, a badge of pride. But yet, the things that result from it, we're left with our mouths open. We're left looking dumbfounded. No one has an answer, but yet we still see the problem. Only thing's different is the face. The result is always the same: death, 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 destruction. But see, just off of saying that, it makes me go back in my mind because we heard that, we heard the precursor 7 years ago. No, 9 years ago. Shock and awe. Shock and awe. What does shock and awe do? It subliminally leaves emotional triggers. It also causes a foundation to be formed for non-clarity because of convenience made by fear. You know, y'all, finally everything's a reality. I think it's kind of hypocritical, y'all. We say all the things that we would do in the darkness behind closed doors, but don't have the courage to defend it when you walk outside yours. And what's really sad is we're not even being conscious on the paths that we're going, the paths that we are forging, because there's going to be somebody that is going to walk behind you. Your path is really nothing but your living testimony, the story that you're going to leave behind once you take your last breath. Have you considered your mortality? Because nobody's bulletproof. No one lives a life like you see in movies. That is nothing but ideology and concept made by a certain means of media to sway your perception. Dream the big dream, or better yet, live the lie. So we living in a world now, y'all. Let's call a spade a spade. You have now people that have financial and political platforms to be heard, but the platforms that should stand the test of time are being challenged. And they wonder if there's going to be any fallout. There's fallout every time that you make a decision. Not everybody's going to agree to your point of view. Not everybody's going to hear you breathe too. And I believe it's going to be perfectly clear because, see, I understand what's really going on. See, the war may be across the seas, but the war is outside your door because the war is for your babies. Do you know how powerful, yet how uh, beneficial a blank mind is? I've said it before. I'll say it again. that beautiful mind that we only use 6% of, has the ability to forge endless potential. Why? Because God gave it to you. But see, people don't have the courage to come out and see. There's always been a war on this and a war on that. But let's keep it real. There's been a war on God since He left. We get caught up on the small stuff and not honor the little things. How about your breathing? You spend more time focusing on the things that mean you no good and take for granted the things that are meant and revealed to you today. You're not promised to see the end of this day. So when are you going to love you? I told you, Queen, and I know my words have been kind of harsh. It's because I love you. From one spiritual man to you. I can't make you see your worth if you don't know you. Your worth cannot be defined by the moment you walk out into that world. It is not weighed or measured by the diameter of your backside, or how big your bosom is, or what you can do behind closed doors, or what lie you can tell at a drop of a dime. All these things discredit who you are. But it seems like there's a mad pull or a push, momentum to get you to cross that line of not seeing your self-worth. There are those that have been trying to brainwash you ever since you could walk and talk. They make your environment. They also are part of your reality. So it's very important. If I can get you when you're at your most vulnerable state, I can change the way you think and how you going to respond at a later date. That's why advertisers get paid, because they like impulsive people. Seven years ago, you weren't seeing people spinning around on stripper poles like it was a badge of honor until they put a platform out there. You know why they put a platform out there? Because they wanted to make us mockery and a spectacle of what you would be willing to do for $1. But see, I understand, because then you have some that will say, well, Gerald, I had to do this because that was the only option I had. Really? How about get a job? And for those who say, well, Gerald, I would have took that route, but I've had responsibilities that, no, that means you got to work a little harder. But it's your life. So now, fast forward 5 years, and now we have online dating, and let's call it what we want. You know, that ain't nothing but a brokerage house for social prostitute. We do know that, right? Social media is a gift and a curse in the same breath, because what it should have been designed to do, it has done the opposite. More families have been broken up, destroyed, torn up by that click of that mouse. Why? Because he paid you a compliment and he's many, many miles away. So in your mind, you daydream, you think, what if, could it be? But if it was meant to be, he would be in your reality, not a memory from your past. Ain't nothing crazier than for you to be all messed up. You got an attitude and you messed up because of words on a screen. Characters on a screen, y'all. The person's not even in the midst of your room. And they got you feeling a certain kind of way. Got you willing to compromise the things that matter. How about your family? You know how I always say, what if there was a way that your elders had the ability to walk into your life? Would they, for what they see, embrace you with a hug or beat you down with a switch? Because some of y'all need a good old-fashioned ass whooping. Some of y'all need to be chastised. Some of y'all need to wipe the view so you could see it more clearly. Number one, you ain't built for that. Number two, you shouldn't go through that. But none of this would be if you would respect yourself. But see, you got some people that don't want to do the work, so they put the blurred line effect and say, well, you know, there's option 3. Option 3 is always the devil's work. Because truth is two-sided. It just depends on the position that you see it. And let me make this clear, because it seems like, not that I really care, because everybody's entitled to their opinion, but let me explain something to you. I do not find any benefit in the destruction of a person. I don't get off on watching someone being humiliated, because guess what? We're all part of one family. One. It's called a human race. And I know there are going to be some people who say, well, you know, you sound like old Tolkien, old Sambo. No, I believe in God, and I believe that God didn't make a mistake. And if you want to hang your hat on the fact of what he looks like and instead of what he's doing, especially when he does it when you don't deserve it, I remember there was a song, and I could be wrong, but I remember the song when I first heard it, long time ago when I was in my teens. And I think it was the Supreme Team that did it. And it was called What People Do for Money. If that song was a classic when it dropped. I think it came out in 89, 88, somewhere around there. But the words were so pivotal that it stands the test of time and has relevancy today, back then, and in the future, because there's a lot of selling out going on. and no investing. And I don't want this to sound like a rant, y'all, but we got to do better as a people. We have to. But my queens, and I say that loosely because you being a female does not make you a queen. Because a queen, as I explained before, it doesn't matter how many times she's been knocked down, she gets up. She takes accountability for her actions because she loves herself. She sees her worth. She invests in her life. And she places God first before all things, even if it means she got to be alone. Why? Because she loves herself. She loves herself. She doesn't destroy herself, which is really kind of ironic because you hear this so much in our community. I hear it all the time. I'm a strong woman. How you gonna call yourself strong when you hide your hair? You willfully deface you. So when you do that, you're basically saying that your worth ain't good enough. How about you start taking your vitamins? How about you start drinking water? How about you have a good night's sleep? How about you stop running from yourself and put that bottle down? How about you keep your legs closed? I say this all out of love, y'all, because even Prince said it best. There'll be thieves in the temple. See, a lot of people don't realize Prince was a spiritual man. I, I don't care about the garbage. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. I'm able to look past all the allegory that you find right here. You got people that get caught up on the visual and not listen to the spiritual, the emotional. Every song he had, there was a spiritual reference in it. You just had to be open enough to hear it. Prince was one of the best when it came to symbolism and metaphors. You know why? Because that man read that Bible. That man lived his life. How many times did you ever hear that man say, I messed up. My bad. Never heard him do a public apology on anything. For what? He was Prince Roger Nelson. He loved himself, even though he had to walk alone. That's what was at stake when it came to his identity. And in return, the world fell in love with his artistic display. But now there's a whole lot of idolism going on. It's called the TV. You see it all the time, you just don't realize it. Because whatever the program, which that means someone has to sit down and come up with a concept to project it to the masses, that means us. If there was no agenda, they would not do it. The bottom line is money. I'll give you a good example. Y'all remember that movie, American Sniper? Remember it? Got a lot of support about that guy's life. But you know what it also did? That movie made a lot of money for the auto industry too. Because guys that watched that movie, they ran out just as quick to go get a truck, to put them on big old 44s. They start growing their beard and start wearing that ball cap because they liked the imagery that it projected because he was a man's man. Did he have certain viewpoints that they were not agreed upon? Sure. But he stood behind what he believed, even when he lost his life. There's far too many things, y'all, that is dividing us, splintering us, disenfranchising us because we get caught up on the imagery. But the responsibility falls on us as the individual. I explained that to you, Queen, a long time ago. I said, watch. Stop watching this reality TV because this reality TV is not reality. They're promoting bad behavior. They're giving it a platform for the unimpressionable, for the impressionable. And what did you do? You have got hundreds of thousands of Jocelyn's and Stevie J's. You picked the character, you saw the behavior on the street. Only thing difference was the mimic. It was mimicked and filtered down by the dollar. So you had those that looked the part, walked the walk. No different. It's no different with anybody put on the world stage. There's going to always be somebody that says, I can relate to you. You just like me. Except for the person that's the original. So we got a lot of cubic zirconian people not seeing their worth. But are you surprised that your dreams are being delayed? We are starting to become a ultra sexual community to the point that so brazen they come up with a new term. I can't remember it, but pretty much I'm not even going to try. But in descriptive term, it was, I'm not bisexual. We used to have a joke. We said, oh, you're trisexual. You just try anything. Really? You're not supposed to be tried. You're supposed to be treasured. Using the wrong T. Not tormented. But you know what's really frightening, y'all? And I started to see the nuances, and I didn't understand. Like yesterday, on the way to work, I saw that the Pentagon has approved transgender military recruitment now. And I was shocked because even though racism still exists in the military, still exists in society, you're going to see a whole lot more. And I was thinking, well, there's a certain line that will never be challenged. never will be. It would just be sacred. And I always thought, well, you know, that's that uniform. That's that military uniform. They're gonna respect that military uniform. They're gonna do that. And I remember when when I served. I'm a veteran. If y'all don't know, serving the United States Air Force proudly. And I remember when former President Clinton had a policy that went through all DOD, Department of Defense, and it was called "Don't Ask, Don't Tell." You may had in your mind suspected, but you respected. You just didn't go there because we were all one under that uniform. And I'm gonna be honest with you, because that's the only way I can be. I'm afraid. I'm afraid because the first transgender person, and there's an incident, now the media is going to have a story to run. There's going to be that victim shield. Uh, and I'm afraid because it's like, you can't sit up and tell me that y'all wasn't thinking about this and say, oh, this is new. No, this had to have been in the makings long ago. Just didn't know how they were going to bring it out. And I'm not straying from my point. I'm just making an additional point. Because some of y'all who may have served, y'all remember, you may have had a commander or someone in leadership that you said, wait a minute. But out of respect of that rank, it stayed right there. And the justification they gave was, we want to make our forces great. We need to be able to afford the opportunity for all talents. Okay. But how much is that talent going to have when that man walks into that female barracks, or that woman walks into that shower? I'm not bashing. I'm looking at it logically. Now, for those who may be in the alternative community, let me explain something to you. In the eyes of a heterosexual male, that's me. I'm a man. I'm a spiritual man. When you take when you take the descriptive classifications away, the preferences away, as a man, I see a woman. That's human nature. Doesn't matter how much you try to wear our clothes, how you try to subdue, from to suppress, you're still a woman. But just know, I see a deeper agenda. I see that now, and I've already had this occur. I mentioned it on a video, a couple videos ago, where somebody flat out said, "You're a social villain." Call me a social villain. Oh yeah, call me all kind of words because I'm supposed to feel a certain way when I'm a man. I was born with the features of a man. This is not to condemn. This is fact. But I also know this. God wanted me to be a woman. He would have made me look like one. He would have gave me the responsibility to have hips, to have breasts, to have long hair, to embrace my femininity. He would have gave me all those tools to embody man's greatest gift, woman. But see, socially, society's trying to say, no, everything that was taught in you was wrong. That's why there's a battle. There's a spiritual battle going on. It's always been going on. It's been going on before your lineage was even created. Because see, that's what the devil wants to do. And I understand what they say we're in the last days because there's a lot of persecution going on to those who believe. They want you to be, you crazy, you wrong. Okay. Like Method Man, I be that. That's Redman. Because I won't denounce God. I won't. I won't. And I see, and it's funny because I mentioned this in another video. I had this dream. I saw this long table, like it was in a break room, And I don't know, maybe that metaphorically, because in my break room we have a really long table, which I know that was probably a table that was used in some command center, and all the people involved sat around this table. But I saw these clipboards, and on these clipboards all had a stack of papers that had things written on them, right? And it was endless. And what I got out of that was, I believe it was the angels talking to me and saying, look, these are all the things that man has been deceived by. Take note. And I remember thumbing one of the clipboards, and it was just endless, endless, endless. And as far as I could see, it never stopped. And it was like, no, the devil think he's winning because he's done all these things thus far. But the one thing that the devil can't do, he will never be able to do, is take your free will. You have to surrender that. You have to freely say, here you go. Do if you will. Then he can come in and run shop. That's why demons stay employed. You're not going through what you're going through just because it's your time. It's about the setup. It's the domino effect. How far can I move you from you? How far? And I know I'm talking to somebody because you're saying to yourself, it wasn't like this yesterday. You find yourself reminiscing back down memory lane when things were good, and it may be the contradiction because you may be in a place in a materialistic point of view that you have everything you want. Everything you want. then you're miserable. You're miserable because you realize you're in your cage. This is your prison because there's no freedom in that because there's no love there. And where there is no love, God does not exist. So there's going to be a whole lot of drama. I know somebody's saying right now, that's right, Gerald. I can't keep that front door closed for nothing. People keep coming and going, keep coming and going, keep coming and going. And I keep telling you, you want to stop that? You better go ahead and get you some of this. This is white sage. You need to burn it. No, this ain't no damn weed. I love myself too much. This is sage. I know somebody down in the country. Well, I see that on the trail and I see it growing. Yeah, it is. That's it. Pick it up. Get your little baggie. Dry it out. Let it dry out for a couple weeks. You burn it. This is blessed. You burn that where you lay your head. You burn that where you dwell. You know what's going to happen? Two things. It's going to raise the spiritual frequency in your home. And anything that's underlining that should not be there, it's going to come to the surface. And it's going to cause it to separate from you. Demons don't like that. They don't. My kings, I say that loosely too. When are you going to honor your name? When are you going to stand up? When are you going to invest in you? Because let me tell you something. Here's something a lot of people just overlook all the time. See, right now, it's always been. See, right now, the Jezebel spirit is doing a number on a lot of people. Well, let's come on now. Lucifer, Satan, he has people in his hierarchy like regional managers. There are a lot of principalities set up to destroy your life. That's why generational curses exist. You know why generational curses exist? Because no one will step up to speak truth to break the cycle. They turn around and condone what the environment or the living constant, that's the environment, and don't question it. They don't question. You know it's wrong, but you just don't speak on it. Why? Because you turn around and say, well, that's not my business. You know, I mind my business, Gerald, but it's killing you inside. It's robbing you of your happiness. It's causing you to harbor animosity because you don't speak your truth. Why? You think that's your life? Huh? Like a bird in a cage. You just sing every time he gives you something. Don't you realize that's what Johns do with prostitutes? Come on. Come on, Queen. You're not going to find happiness in that special drawer you got. Oh, yeah. You open that drawer, it look like Home Depot. You got apparatuses and stuff, but none of them will measure the love and touch of a man. But you don't want any man, you want a spiritual man. And see, that requires you to prepare. You can't fix nothing that won't, you can't fix something you won't acknowledge is broken. But see, society wants you to be this. Society wants you to be the cheerleader to defile and emasculate your men. So it doesn't surprise you why there's so many docile brothers out there. And I don't care about your color. I'm just saying that generally. Like, oh, I wear the pants over here. Let me tell you something. You keep that mindset and you'll stay miserable. Oh yeah, any fool will lay on you. Oh yeah, sure will. He'll lay on you. And when he's done, he's gonna keep moving. But guess what? He don't see you as his forever. So the question should be asked, why are you there? But see, I understand that too, because see, we live in an age where the common female, she's already been with 60 to 70 guys. She's had some type of sexual interaction because she don't do nothing for nothing. There is, you got to lay the bait to get the fish. I understand that too. But what price? More STDs? Because right now, statistically, women, you are the carriers. And when you look a little deeper, you'll also see trauma there. There's an emotional trigger. To the point, you have some now to say, well, Gerald, I don't have the courage to speak my truth, but deep down inside, I hate men. You hate them. Why? Because of what your daddy didn't do for you. So you call yourself doing it on your own and go on and say, well, I'm going to go get me a man in the image that I want him to be. And if he's not in that image, I'm going to build him to be that. But what happens? It breaks your heart. It adds another wound. Why? Because you took it upon yourself to do something that was never asked for you to do. But Gerald, he looks like the man of my dreams. Let me tell you, the man of your dreams, he can only see you by your heart. And what you attract is what's found inside you. Why? Because you're still a spiritual being first, regardless if you denounce the fact that God exists. So you got this big campaign going on now because truth is coming out. And they're saying, well, you know, the image of God, that ain't God. First of all, no one has seen God. They've seen the effects of God. And they're looking at the imagery of what was depicted of what Jesus looks like. If you want to know what Jesus looks like, look in the Bible. Don't look at what is found hanging on that wall. Because the majority is going to depict of that's what they think Jesus was. Well, look at it from a geographical standpoint. Pretty warm over there, don't you think? Don't match up with the words found in the Bible, now do it. So if he made us in his image, then shouldn't that tell you right there? Yes. Oh, I'll do one better. It is a fact. Civilization, the oldest known recording of man was in Africa. So let's tie that together. If we are in his image, why are we not honoring that? Because there's a lot of truth out there that we don't know. That is also part of the foundation of your life, to learn to educate. Each one teach one, not destroy. And unfortunately, will always be social bullying too. That ain't supposed to be your story. You ain't supposed to be known as, oh yeah, that was the dude that always got high. First of all, let's call a spade a spade. The only benefit of being high is escapism. What you running from? 9 times out of 10, you don't like the surroundings of your environment. Because if you did, why would you escape from it? But I also know everybody wants to feel loved, feel protected, feel empowered, feel nourished, nurtured. Everybody wants that. But we live in a society and a world that it is nothing but a contradiction of it. Why? Because you have those that don't want you to see your dreams. Does it surprise you? We live in a world that the guns have flooded the streets. They're everywhere. There are referendums out there. But guess what? The common criminal don't follow laws. The legalization of marijuana. The constant production of alcohol. Why? Because there's money in it. If there was no money in the drug business, there would be no drug business. If everybody had everything they needed, why would there be any crime? Just don't give you a pass. Would you imagine what the world would be like if everybody spoke their truth? How about just for one day? The news said everything was great. It was a good day. No. That's why you got to be mindful who you allow in your environment. Now, let me throw this disclaimer out here again, and you can take it for what it's worth because I ain't got to live your life. I don't. I don't have to see your reality. I don't. But I do want the best for you. But I can't make you do anything. That's what free will is. So while you sitting down doing this, waiting on that cell phone to ring, wondering where they are, what they doing, let me tell you something. 90% of people doing that, you ain't in a relationship. You not. Do the math. They where they want to be at. They ain't with you. I'm not saying this to hurt you. I'm saying this so you could see your worth. You think people, come on now. Come on now. I know somebody's like, well, I got to work this weekend. Yeah, they working all right. They working. And some of it may be the case. That might be the case. Your boy got to work. It's just another day for me. But guess what? That's double overtime too. I like paying my bills because that's what men do. Pay your bills, enjoy the benefit later. But see, I also know this. Your bars, your clubs, even the gas station know the importance of this weekend. It's to make money. That's why they open. And they hoping that you'll chip in. Just know love don't hurt. But it does not matter if you do not invest in your worth. Don't worry about who's not in your life. Don't worry about that. Keep investing in you. Because guess what? There's one good thing about bad behavior. When you least expect it, all that you've ever wondered comes to the light. Everything. And some of it can be hard to watch, but you'll have your truth. But it also lets you know the character of the company you keep, because the company that you keep is an extension of what's found in you. So if you don't like what you see, have the courage to change it. I'll do one better. Ask yourself why you don't deserve it. Shouldn't have to worry about. See, listen, I'm a firm believer of this. See, when you live correctly, you don't have to worry about what you said. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to remember what you did with who you did it with. You sleep peaceful at night because you're blessed. And guess what? All those people that think they pulled a one over on you, see, God sees all, knows all, because He created us. And that same energy that you put out will come back. Only difference is the faces change. The pain doesn't. That's why the devil's a liar. But you have to have the courage to stand up, place him for. When's the last time you had a conversation with yourself? This is a great weekend to do some self-inventory. You got something going on? You ain't feeling a certain way? Why don't you sit down and journal it? Write it down. Write down all the events. Write it down. You can at least be truthful to yourself. Now, if you can't be truthful to yourself, the common denominator is you. Get all that out. Then be in tune with your emotions. Some of y'all just need to cry. Some of y'all need to purge that anger and that seed of despair that lives inside you. Because see, that's what's robbing you. That's what's making your perception. There's no such thing as me against the world. No, it's you against you. And if you're not doing what you need to do, guess what? Ain't nothing good coming out of that. I corrected myself. Yes, there is something good that'll come out of that. You'll gain wisdom through pain. You'll see insight that through experience will scream louder than anything you could do. But if you do not acknowledge that, you know what happens? You'll end up becoming them. We all know those are the people that gave up on themselves. Those who truly cashed in. You think your life can't be the way it is, where it's destined to be because you got a felony? If you learn from the mistake, dig a little deep, work a little harder, your dreams still can be a reality. It can. But not until you love you. If anything, think about the people that are going to come from behind you. My family, For those who are under the age of 35, let me tell you right off the bat, you have no clue on who you are. The mindset that you had at 15 is not the mindset that you have at 18. The mindset that you have at 18 is not the mindset that you should have when you're 25. The mindset that you have at 25 will not be the mindset that you have when you're 35. Because if it is, that is an indicator that you are not growing. And something inside you is holding you back. We know that is spiritual shackles. But guess what? That's how the devil does his best work. Because he attacks the self-worth and self-esteem of the individual, because those people do not have a spiritual connection. This is why you need to educate yourself all the time. Because you still have people that want to use this moniker, well, you know, he just being religious. Let me tell you something. The word religion means pattern, practice. Because you go to church, that is a pattern. Being spiritual is a connection. The commonality is we believe. Do you believe in you? Then stand up. Don't be like so many people saying, well, if I would, no. Put action behind your words. Because if you're not, who's the prisoner? Who's doing time in their mind? Ain't nothing worse for someone to be aligned to somebody because a piece of paper. That's all it is, a contract. But you know what has more weight on that? Is that person has more influence on you. They dictate how you supposed to be. So how do you have an identity? But see, that's how I know demons work too, because demons will use a person of influence by using material influence or social influence, and the person that has the stronger spirit, the weaker one, will take on the traits. That's why they walk, act, and especially when it comes to bad behavior. They can divide, and guess what? That spirit lives in that person. That's how demons do. That's how that devil do. He may use that person, but that target might be that child. He's a lion in the brush waiting to kill, will kill, steal, and destroy, y'all. But he can't do that until you sign off. See your worth. For those that are on the highways and byways today, I say this. Please be safe while you're driving. No text message or phone call is worth your life. Officer Friendly is out there to keep you safe, but keep in mind it's a business too. Don't give them no money that they shouldn't. Keep yourself safe, watch your speed, but most importantly, watch your surroundings, because there are going to be people out there that are not going to give a damn about if you make it home tonight, because they don't give a damn about them. Lastly, there's going to be a whole lot of stolen moments and a whole lot of lies being told in these 4 days. But I also believe there's going to be a whole lot of truth and a lot of things that are coming to light that you might not have been aware of. Stay grounded. No matter what is shown, just know devil's a liar, and maybe he just want to see what you going to do to further his agenda. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. You want your life to be as you dream it? Connect back to that little girl and that little boy that lives inside you. Maybe that's the reason you got them voices in your head or you can't sleep at night. It's because what is being asked is you know and experience intimacy in its purest form. That's within you. You can't find that in a bottle. You can't find that getting high, nor can you find it in the arms of a stranger. See your worth, love yourself, but always place God first in what you do. Be blessed.